Okay, I think that's everyone that's going to join has joined. So hello, and thank you for joining me in this webinar on virtual services. My name is Damien, and I've been working at Nexudus for a year and a half here in London, helping hundreds of spaces learn and navigate the Nexudus platform. Today, I'm going to be walking through how Nexus can be used in a variety of ways to provide virtual services to your members, and how this can help your co-working communities to stay engaged and potentially open a new revenue stream. We'll look at how to set up a virtual membership plan, your member directory, and community boards. So just a little bit of housekeeping. The webinar will last around 20 minutes with a Q&A session ongoing throughout. So leave any questions you have within the Q&A section, not in the chat box. So just in the Q&A, please. Okay, let's get started. So to begin, what is a virtual membership? So just as a short background here, a virtual membership is a membership to a co-working space that gives the customer the ability to use the member portal to interact with the other members of the space and get a sense of community and more without having to attend that specific location. So there is an opportunity to open new revenue or to keep providing the services to the current community during the present day space closures that we're seeing. We've seen spaces coming up with ideas like running virtual workshops, virtual yoga classes, online consultancy services. So a virtual membership can be an opportunity for members to join events and interact with the community while still continuing their networking and maintaining connections with the rest of the members. So they can use the message boards, the private messages to other members, and basically use your online platform as a networking tool. So in terms of requirements for setting up that virtual membership, you just need an account with Nexudus. You need to ensure that the correct settings are in place, and you need to create the plan for that type of membership. So the first thing that we need to look at are the settings. So within Nexudus, if I go to Settings, Website, and then Access, for some background, these access settings are what allow you to control what parts of your member portal front-end website is seen by which type of visitor. So for example, this first column, public, can be seen by anyone who visits your website. Logged in user is anyone with a login, so that includes members with contracts as well as contacts, which is what we call people who are registered who do not have a contract. You can make sections members only, so they have to be a contracted member, and then contacts only if you just want it to be someone who's registered but is not a contracted member of your space. For the purposes of this demo, I'm interested to see that the directory pages, which is the members directory where you can see the names and biographical information of the members in the space, and the message board, so the forum where members can interact with each other. Those are both member-only spaces that will be restricted to people who are contracted members of the space. The next thing to check in the settings is that the directory and message board are enabled, because you can switch those features off if you want. So that's in Settings, Website, Features. And I can see that the community board section and the members directory are both enabled. So that's just the first step, is checking that the settings are in place. So next step is to create the plan itself. So to do that, we go to Inventory, which is where you sell things from your Nexudus platform, things like products and plans and your booking resources. And we're going to the Plan section to create the plan. And we do this by saying Add Plan. So I'm going to keep things simple, and I'm just going to call this Virtual Membership. I want people to be able to sign up to this on my website, so I'm going to publish it as displayed on the website. You have the opportunity to add a description of some sort so that people know what kind of services are included and what they can find by signing up to the virtual membership. And I'm going to set the pricing as, for example, £50 a month. So billing frequency is every month. You have other settings here where you can decide if you want to have the plan prorate, adjusting the invoicing settings, things like that, setting terms and plan policies. But for the interest of demonstration, I'm happy with just this. So I'm going to save. So now we have this new virtual membership plan, and it's published on the website. People are able to sign up to it, and I'm able to assign it to members as well. So if I click through, just to make a point, if I go to the benefits section, I'm not adding any credits. So printing credits, time credits to use in the booking, resources, or passes, because obviously this person doesn't need to access the physical space, so that's not necessary. Okay, so that's just the first step. Pretty simple, just creating a virtual membership, setting up the pricing settings. People are able to sign up to it. It doesn't involve any other benefits, and we have restricted the member directory and the community board to be accessed by members only. Okay, so the next thing we're going to look at is the member directory. So just for context, the member directory shows the profiles of your members and contacts and teams in your space. And posting profiles to that directory helps your coworkers find people that they can collaborate and talk about their ideas or start new projects. And together that can form a community. So let's take a look at the directory. So because the directory is restricted to members, I need to log in as a member. So with Tanuki here, I can select beside his name, and I can say access account to see that from Tanuki's perspective. So now I'm logged in as Tanuki. We can see that we have the sign out up here. And I'm going to the members directory here under community members. Okay, so as you can see, it's divided into two main sections. Members being your customers of the space, so people who are contracted members, and depending on the settings, it might also include contacts, so people who do not have a contract. But we will look at those specific settings in a little bit. And it also shows the teams. So teams being most usually companies or organizations in your space that you've set up as a team for billing purposes or to share credits and things like that. But they can have their own team presence on the member directory as well. In order to have a profile appear in the directory, you can leave it up to your members to decide whether they should publish their own profile or not. Let's go ahead and take a look at those settings. So if I navigate back to the members themselves, so Tanuki, for example, if I go to his account and I go to his profile section, I can see that the option to include this profile in the member directory is switched on, and Tanuki has completed some of his profile. So if I go to settings, website modules directory, this is where the general settings of the directory are hosted. This first option, enable these directory types, individuals and teams, only teams or only individuals. So individuals and teams is as we see it right now. So we have the two sections which show individual people and their teams, but you can, if you want, have it to only show the teams or organizations or only show individual members. The next option down is what type of member is shown. So you can have all published profiles of members and contacts. So anyone that has opted in to publish their profile. The second option lets you choose which out of your customers should be included in the directory. So this is the one that we recommend. So publish profiles in a plan members. So this would be people who have a contract that have opted in to have their profile be published. These two options below this, which include everyone, we warn against these, as this would mean that customers have no option to hide their profile and should probably only really be used in specific cases. This option, list profiles from all the locations in the network, is set to yes. So this refers to accounts in Nexudus where you have more than one location. You might want each location to display the entire network in its directory or to keep it separate between its locations. For me, I have this enabled. And then this next section refers to this dropdown here, which we have skills. So if I select HR, for example, it shows me that Kiram and Tara are both skilled in HR. So it's an ability to filter your directory by skill. So this is the default dropdown that we have here. This allows you to build a skill taxonomy, essentially. So you have the choice to allow members to add their own skills as a free input option. But that, as you can imagine, can result in a fairly messy or lengthy drop-down list for skills if members are just entering their own skills on the directory, especially if you have a bigger space. In smaller spaces, that might not be much of an issue. But in this field, you can specify the specific tags that you want to restrict members to only being able to select. And then you will result in a neater drop-down in the directory. But again, members might feel restricted in the options that they're able to choose. So you'll just need to weigh up what's of best value to your space. We advise getting to a critical mass in your space's directory before asking members to complete their profiles or to publish them on the directory. Bear in mind that profiles are unpublished by default and that members should be able to enable that option to publish their own profile as they review the contents. So if you would like to get the biographies or profiles of your members kick-started, you can always edit them from the backend. So if I return to Tanuki here, and I go to account profile, you can complete the biography for Tanuki, maybe based on his sign-up form or his LinkedIn or something like that. And you can leave the include this profile in the member directory off and invite Tanuki to edit his profile and decide whether he wants to publish it. You can always send your members a newsletter, for example, or post in the community board, which we'll be looking at a little bit, to advise members that you want to use the member directory and the usefulness of it and whether they would like to complete their profiles and publish their profiles. Okay, so now let's look at how a member can use the directory. So searching via the search box here is smart. So you can search by a name. So for example, Eli's here, or I can search by the company names, like Acme, for example. You can also search the content within the biographies. It can search the skills. So if I search HR within the members, then I should see Tara and Kiram come up again, because we knew that they had the HR skill. In terms of adding more drop-downs here, you have the ability to do that via the custom fields functionality. So if I go to CRM custom fields, I can create a new field. So for example, I could say living in London. And I could make this a yes or no. And then I can place it in their profile. And I can allow others to search the member and company directory by this field. So this will create a drop-down of yes or no that will sort the directory depending on the answer that members have given. This can also be an options menu. So those are the two options you have for that drop-down. They can be yes or no, or they can be options. And I could do something like maybe industry. And then I can specify the specific options that I want to add here again. So tech, HR, finance, whatever. And then members will be able to choose which applies to them. A drop-down will appear, and then other members will be able to search and sort in the directory by these tags. Okay. Tanuki is also able to click on the profiles and is able to review them. He's able to message members directly. If the members have the Passport app from Nexudus, then when they receive a message and if they have push notifications enabled, they'll get a notification to tell them that they have a new message. So there's a variety of different ways that they can use the directory to network and find other members. Okay. So next up is our community board. So the community board is an online forum, essentially, that encourages communication between members of your community. Members can create threads, private groups, they can mention other members, and the community board is integrated with the directory on Nexudus, and it displays the user's profiles. So if we just take a look at that, if I go to community message board, I can see the message board populated here with some test data. By clicking on the different profiles, I can go directly to that profile in the directory, for example, and message Renata privately. Interestingly, in recent weeks, we've seen the usage of our community message boards increase by almost 30% among our users. So many spaces are finding this feature useful. The community board is based on several elements that help you maintain communication with your space users. You can moderate these conversations, they can like, follow, mute. The most basic element being the conversation thread. So these are the discussion threads that coworkers can create. They will receive answers from other coworkers who take part in the conversation. Filters can be set for each conversation using tags. So it doesn't look like Tanuki used any tags here. These conversations can also be set as private, so they can only be seen by the coworkers that they have invited to view the thread. You can also tag other members here. So I can tag Eliz directly and ask her for input. And that invites her to add to the conversation. Coworkers can unfollow, silence, they can like, and they can be set up as private as well. In terms of groups, so if I return to the message board here, there are different groups. So you can have like a bicycle club or wine club or specific categorizations of conversation that you can set up as an administrator to keep the message board nice and neat. You have the option again of keeping those groups private or restricting them so that the groups can be seen by members, but they're not able to add comments or interact with them, for example. But let's just look at an example. So if as Tanuki, I start a conversation. So maybe I want to host a Zoom coffee morning. Let's say it's tomorrow, the 24th. So please join myself and Eliz tomorrow for a coffee at 11 a.m., for example. I can add an image if I want to. I can decide that it's a general thread or assign it to a specific group. I can add tags so that people can find it easily. So Zoom, coffee morning, that kind of thing. And I can include a Zoom meeting link. So this was the functionality that we covered last week on our webinar with my colleague Sam. Again, so when we send out our email for this webinar, we'll also include the link to that if you didn't catch it. But basically, this is a new integration where you're able to set up Zoom meetings via the conversation threads, as well as in bookings and events as well. I can choose to make the conversation private if I want to, but I want it to be public, so I'm just going to go ahead and start. Okay, so here is my thread. People are able to join via Zoom. They're able to contribute to the conversation and express their interest in joining and things like that. So it's just an easy way of stimulating connection between your members. Okay. So that's the community boards. So to summarize, you can create a membership plan to give access to your member-only features of your online community. The member directory allows your members to search for, connect with, and explore the community. The community board is an online forum where members can make posts and engage with each other in conversation, and you can use this to organize Zoom meetings as well. So that's it really. So thank you for joining. We know that nothing can replace the community getting together in person. Those are the principles that co-working was built on. No tool can truly replace the connections and progress that we make when we're physically in that same space. But undoubtedly, our current situation is making it difficult for communities to stay connected. Having a virtual membership in place can allow those members to stay connected or to find connection. So we have a number of modules that are enabling members to virtually meet, and we're seeing the usage that people are finding these useful. So hopefully that you found this webinar helpful and informative. My colleague Adrian has been answering your questions during the webinar. I'm going to check if there's any question left for anything that we didn't cover. If we don't get to your question, we'll reach out directly. And for anything else, always feel free to get in touch with us at support@nexudus.com, or take a look at our knowledge base, which is here in the bottom left corner, learn.nexudus.com, which has guides to setting up plans, to using the member directory, the community boards, and even how to set up that Zoom integration. So we'll send you an email with a link to this recording and to our previous webinar on the Zoom integrations. But thank you for joining us, and we'll send out the details of our next webinar soon. Thank you.